Good day, grade 9. So we are back with another video for lesson 2, which is rational exponents and radicals. So after this lesson, you are expected to simplify expressions with rational exponents and write expressions with rational exponents to radicals and vice versa. So we are now done with solving expressions or simplifying expressions with integral exponents. So ngayon, we will further dig in with complicated exponents such as rational exponents. When we say rational exponents, from the word itself, rational ratio, ibig sabihin, magkakaroon na ng fraction ang ating exponents. At anong mangyayari sa expression? How do we simplify expressions with rational exponents? So yun yung kailangan nating maintindihan through this video. At the same time, transforming expressions with rational exponents to radicals and vice versa. Now, let us understand what is the definition of rational exponents. So, for rational exponents, an exponential b raised to x is said to have a rational exponent if that exponent x can be written in the form of m over n. So, in other words, given b raised to 1 over n equals a is also equivalent to a raised to n equals b. So, sa madaling salita, humahanap tayo ng isang number na kapag na-raise natin kay n, ang equivalent ay b. Often, b raised to 1 over n is considered as the nth root of b. So, when simplifying rational exponents, gagamitan din natin siya ng laws of exponents na ginagamit natin sa positive and negative integral exponents. So, ang unang example sa ating module ay b raised to 1/3 multiplied by b raised to 2/3. So, as per the product rule under the laws of exponents, when we are multiplying two expressions with the same base, we just have to copy the base and add their exponents. When we are adding fractions with the same denominator or simply similar fractions, we just have to copy the denominator and add the numerator. So in this case, we have 1 plus 2, that's 3. So this will give 3 over 3, simply that is 1. But since we do not have to write 1 because it's already implied, so number 1 is equivalent to p. For the second example, we have b raised to 3/4 times 1/2. So, according sa power of a power rule, when we are raising an exponential to another exponent, we just have to multiply the two exponents. So, copy the base and then multiply the exponents. When we are multiplying fractions, we multiply the numerator by the numerator and denominator by the denominator, and then we simplify. So, b, 3 times 1, that is 3 all over 4 times 2, that's 8. Since 3 over 8 ay wala ng lowest term, so simply ang ating sagot will be b raised to 3 over 8. Third example, we have b raised to 3/5 all over b raised to 1/5. So according naman to sa quotient rule. Sabi kay quotient rule, when we are dividing two expressions with the same base, we just have to subtract their exponents given that the exponent of the numerator is greater than the exponent of the denominator. So, simply, we have b raised to 3/5 minus 1/5. So, katulad lang din to ng pag-add ng ating exponents, iba lang ang operation. So, since they are similar fractions, we have b raised to 3 minus 1, that's 2 all over 5. So, we have b raised to 2/5. Now, for the fourth example, this is also under the quotient rule. However, kung mapapansin natin, mas malaki ang exponent ng denominator kaysa kay numerator. So, we have this given b raised to 2 over 7 all over b raised to 6 over 7. So, for this case, we have to get the reciprocal of the common base. So, this will become 1 over b, and then, tsaka natin i-perform ang ating subtraction ng exponent sa denominator. So, this will become b raised to 6 over 7 minus 2 over 7. Simply, that is 1 over b raised to 4 over 7. So, for the fifth example, given in your module, we have a raised to 1/2, b raised to 2/3, and c raised to 4/3. Quantity raised to 1/2. So, dito, gagamitan natin siya ng power of a product rule. Since multiple factors are inside the parenthesis wherein yung buong quantity sa loob ng parenthesis ay nakaraise sa isa pang exponent. So, ang gagawin lang natin, we have to distribute the exponent with the factors inside the parenthesis. Simply, that is a raised to 1/2 times 1/2, b raised to 2/3 times 1/2, and c raised to 4/3 times 1/2. Again, when we are multiplying fractions, we just have to multiply the numerator by the numerator and denominator by the denominator. So, simply, 1/2 times 1/2 is 1/4. 2/3 times 1/2, that is 2/6, and 4 times 1 is 4, and 3 times 2 is 6. So, kung mapapansin natin, hindi pa siya nasa simplest form. Bakit? Because of our exponents. Ang exponents natin, pwede pa natin siyang maisulat into its simplest form. Therefore, we can rewrite this as a raised to 1/4, b raised to 1/3, and c raised to 2/3. Since we are done with simplifying expressions with rational exponents, let us now proceed in evaluating such expressions. So, gamitin natin yung example na given sa ating discover. We have 25 raised to 1/2. Ang hinahanap natin dito is, what is the second root of 25 as per the definition of rational exponents? Hanapin natin ang second root of 25. Or sa madaling salita, we are looking for one of the two equal factors of 25. So, sa madaling salita, we are trying to find a number that when you multiply it by itself, ang sagot ay 25. So, in this case, pwede nating ma-infer na 25 has 5 as its two equal factors. So, pwede natin itong isulat as 25 raised to 1/2 is equivalent to 5. Kasi when we multiply 5 by itself, we get 25 raised to 1/2. So, this is still equivalent. And 5 times 5 can be written as 5 squared raised to 1/2. By the definition of power of a power rule, when we multiply 2 by 1/2, we get 1. So, simply, we get 5. We do not have to write 1 since it's already implied at dahil ang ating 5 is a constant. So, therefore, 25 raised to 1/2 is 5. The second root of 25 is 5. By the definition of rational exponents, sabi natin kanina, given that b raised to 1/n is equivalent to a, wherein a, when raised to n, is equivalent to b. So, pwede natin siyang may apply sa given example natin ngayon. We have 25 raised to 1/2, wherein 25 is b, 2 is n. Now, we are trying to find the value of a. Para makuha natin ang value of a, that a should be raised to n, in this case, that's 2, to get the value of 25, which is b. So, sa madaling salita, you are trying to find a number that when squared is equivalent to 25. So, therefore, that is 5. For number 2, we have 64 raised to 1/3. Dito naman, we are trying to find the third root of 64. You have to find one of the three equal factors of 64. So, for this case, we have 4. So, when we multiply 4 by itself ng 3 beses, that's equivalent to 64 raised to 1/3. Simply, we can write 4 times 4 times 4 as 4 cubed is to 1/3. By the definition of power of a power rule, we multiply these two exponents, which will give us 4. Therefore, 64 raised to 1/3 is 4. Now, let us have negative 8 raised to 1/3. Ngayon, hahanap naman tayo ng number na kapag pinag-multiply ng 3 beses sa kanyang sarili, ang sagot ay negative 8. Okay, so pwede natin gamitin, let's see, kung pwede ang 2. 2 times 2 times 2 raised to 1/3. When you multiply 2 by 2, we get 4 times 2, that's 8. So, ibig sabihin, that is not equivalent to negative 8. Now, try natin ang negative 2. Negative 2 times negative 2, we have positive 4. Times negative 2, then we got negative 8. So, ibig sabihin, the third root of negative 8 is negative 2. So, simplify lang natin. We can write negative 2 raised to 3, quantity raised to 1/3. Therefore, when we multiply these two exponents as per the power of a power rule, we get negative 2. Therefore, the third root of negative 8 is negative 2. So for the fourth example, we have negative 1 raised to 1/2. Ngayon, we have to find a number that when you multiply it by itself, the answer is negative 1. So try natin ang positive 1. When we multiply positive 1 by itself, we get positive 1. So hindi siya negative 1. Now, let's try negative 1. When multiply negative 1 by negative 1, we get positive 1 pa rin. So ibig sabihin, we cannot obtain any number na kapag pinag-multiply natin sa sarili niya, ang sagot ay negative 1. So for this case, we cannot find the second root of negative 1. Therefore, this expression is not defined. When we are evaluating expressions with rational exponents, there will be a time na ang value ng numerator ng ating exponent is not equal to 1. So let's say b raised to m over n, wherein m is not equal to 1. So pwede natin siyang isulat as b raised to 1 over n quantity raised to m. So nagbago lang ang form pero hindi nagbago ang value. Kasi when we multiply these two exponents, still we'll get b raised to m over n. Yun nga lang, kaya natin siya pinaghiwalay is because mas mabilis na nating masasagutan ito since alam na natin kung paano mag-evaluate ng rational exponents wherein ang kanilang numerator is 1. Right? Okay. So let us have few examples. We have 49 raised to 3/2. So for this example, 49 raised to 1/2 quantity raised to 3. So what is the second root of 49? So we have 7 times 7 raised to 1/2 raised to 3. So simply this is 7 squared raised to 1/2 raised to 3. Therefore, this will become 7 cubed. So this is equivalent to 343. Another example is negative 243 raised to 4/5. So we have to write this as negative 243 raised to 1 over 5 quantity raised to 4. So what is the fifth root of negative 243? So that's negative 3 raised to 5 raised to 1/5 raised to 4. So we can multiply this too. So this will be cancelled. Therefore, this will become negative 3 raised to 4. Simply, that is positive 81. For the last example, we have 216 raised to 2/3. So we have to write 216 as raised to 1/3 and then tsaka natin ilagay ang exponent na 2. So the third root of 216 is 6 raised to 3 quantity raised to 1/3 quantity raised to 2. This will be cancelled. Therefore, that is 6 squared. Simply, that is equivalent to 36. So this ends the first part of lesson 2. So para makapunta kayo sa link ng part 2 ng lesson na ito, hanapin lang siya sa description below.